Let's move on. We will now have a fireside chat. Join us for a conversation in the transformative potential of cutting-edge technologies in modern enterprises. Engage with our distinguished speakers as they share insights, anecdotes, and practical strategies for leveraging new-age tech to propel business success. Explore the challenges and opportunities presented by emerging technologies in shaping the future of business. For this, I would like to call on stage Ramgopal Subramani, Chief Strategy Officer, Perfios, and Sameer Singh Jaini, Founder and CEO of the Digital Fifth, for a fireside chat on Is New Age Tech Strengthening Today's Business? Let's have a huge round of applause for them, please. Thank you.
I think it was amazing. Honestly, a lot of people were asking, how do you curate? We're trying to figure out who are the best in the ecosystem and bring him. So it has taken me 7 years to get him around. So I've never met him. I've been edging him, asking him, and he came here, right? I think the session was so good that I think everybody was trying to figure out what can we learn from there, right? So I think phenomenal session. Now, I think with this, we move to the next segment, which is figuring out how tech companies can actually, or platform companies can enable and sort of improve the customers' engagement and strengthen their business. Now, this is a theme which you would have heard a few minutes back from the enterprise fintech session as well. So they can all strengthen. So digital ki baat sabhi karte hain. Everybody is talking digital more. But fact of the matter is digital comes with a lot of challenges as well, right? So you need to ensure that you don't just sell, but ensure that the engagement is clear. And later on, there are no chance of fraud, right? Identity is always a serious challenge in the market. Abhi fraud बढ़ते ही जाएंगे, right? If you don't control it, because as much as the tech is improving, as much as fraudsters are figuring out how to sort of make money. I think they have their own conference, Fintech Fraud Conference, right, somewhere, and they do better than us maybe that way. So with this, I hand it over to you, Ram. How do you think that the businesses can actually improve dramatically their journeys and control frauds, and what kind of identities you see coming up?
Thanks, Sameer. I think it is going to be a tough act to follow after Rakesh's session.
Yeah, he was taking photographs as well, right? So, so good.
And Rakesh has obviously been known him for the last 12 plus years, no nonsense, to the point, very clear. It's clarity. Okay. So broadly, if I look at the part, the industry has changed a lot. It's evolved. And some parts of it, when you think about the quantum of digital adoption, and you think about how much digital is becoming mainstream, you also have, when you have something good, there is always the shades of bad. In your basket, there will always be few rotten apples. Now, how do you kind of weed them out early? In the traditional business, it was still localized. It was like you think about hyper-local. Banking, lending, insurance, payment were local. When you think about the digital business, all these elements are viral. Just the fact that it is gone from, it is still the same number of 5 letters in the word, but the implication of the 5 letters are very different. What it means is virality is the chances that something spreads is way too high. And by the time you have an opportunity to detect and prevent is very little. So fundamentally, it can also make you go bust. The premise is, obviously, we've looked at, if I look at the journey, right, we built processes. These were business processes, orchestrations were done. But the decision process was still manual, which meant that you had a fancy website, a decade ago. At the best, you'll ask the customer or the applicant to submit the documents. He will upload those documents. There was still the decision which is completely human, which meant that someone went and reviewed the document, extracted information, someone went and verified. Technology has been great. Data has been humongous, and we can take a little bit of claim of having some role in the whole thing, but largely data plus technology has transformed decision orchestration, where the need for a human intervention has become negligible when you talk about STP, straight through processing. And there is, we talk about, I know right now people all talk about large language models, but 20 years ago, it was artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence versus human intelligence is very distinct. Human intelligence is natural, it is intuitive. Artificial intelligence or large language models or Gen AI, whatever we call it, right, is a learning system. So which means that inherently if I meet someone, I would have a sense of the person in my interaction. Each of us have, right? Trust him, don't trust him. A system can't. So, I felt like the part of it, that is where the challenges started coming in is, as technology and data has become more and more omnipresent and this thing, you are going to the fact is, and obviously it has become affordable, it has become accessible, all things are wonderful. But with that fact, we have also started seeing increasing number of frauds. Whether it is your onboarding fraud, someone trying to take over your account, or someone creating a fuzzy account. All of us rely on Aadhaar as the holy grail. But all of us also know there are places where you can get an Aadhaar enrollment done without documentation. Obviously there have been controls being put into place of it. So which means that identity, transaction, payment, underwriting, servicing, all these 4 elements of your life cycle is vulnerable. And if you look at the part of it is, I'm sure all of us have seen, I'll just talk about identity, right? And obviously I was looking at the slide deck which Rakesh had on technology. We are talking about AR, VR, we are talking about LLM models, we are talking about this thing. I'm sure all of us have heard of deepfake. So, the element that on a video KYC conversation, can I fake someone? As simple as this, I have one of those few events in a year where I try to test out my creative juices. So one is obviously something called as, during Navratri we have the notion of Gulu. Ravi will probably understand this one, okay, which is very southern Indian part of it. And then typically New Year. So this year I ended up using a platform to create a complete greeting card, morphing natural sceneries with overlay of whatever, a Buddha, a Shiva, whatever it is, right? Okay. To create the fact that in Yellowstone Park there is a statue of Buddha. The first, it is obviously an amateurish attempt, right? But the fact is, the technology is evolving to the level that some point of time, if someone has not been to Yellowstone Park, has not been to our, Kaziranga Park, National Park, may think that it exists. So think of the element is, as technology evolves, you can impersonate voice, you can impersonate the entire facial representation. How do you start solving for? As simple as this, good old schools, most of us would have, at least some of us who were born before the 80s and had exposure to some of the Iran-Contra, the Colombia cartel, ransom, where you were asked to show today's newspaper and read out, I'm still alive. Even still happens, I'm assuming that happens with Hamas and Israel, at this point of time. But fundamentally, you have to build more intelligence for the level at which machineries are changing, right? Think about, we've not even, quantum computing has not become yet a reality, not yet available on a mobile device. Think of the level of technology transformation that can happen. So first part is, how do you protect identity? Can you just depend on identity just basis your traditional documents? Or do you think about identities beyond this? Can we take, I mean, when we did business traditionally, right? You had an RM, you had a field force guy in that area, went and checked, does this person stay here? How do you determine presence? If you can't determine presence, can absence be treated as a trigger to say that I need to investigate further? So one of the parts that we have been experimenting around is, the part is, can you get other presence of an identity? Whether if you, I mean, all of us use mobile number as a default. Every registration is done on a mobile number. And we are probably more conscious about losing our phone than anything. We don't worry about our wallet anymore, right? I mean, I remember way back in late 90s or even early 2000, if you're going in a bus or a train, you would put your wallet in your front pocket. But now you think about the fact is, where is my phone? So that's where it is. On given a mobile number, can I establish your relationships? What is your vintage? Right? Because you can get a prepaid SIM, you go to an enrollment center, get an Aadhaar card, establish yourself, take a loan, 20,000, 30,000. If you are smart, some of the guys have been smart, they start with the 10,000 loan, 20,000 loan, eventually pick a 5 lakh loan, and then 5 lakh, they disappear with the 5 lakh loan. Right? They still pay the EMI on the 10,000 and 20,000, but then they build up. There is patience, right? Now, which means that how do you kind of establish this one? And see, I mean, I was looking at, so this is one of the aspects which you have to start thinking about. So one is you have to think about, as technology evolves, the things like deepfake. How do you mitigate some of those things? You think about identity. How do we strengthen identity? Are there other parts of it, right? And I think the other element which comes into some of these things just at the part of, I looked at the fact of simplicity, trust, and simplicity plus transparency is equal to trust. Okay. So transparency is really important among the partners in the ecosystem. And transparency and trust is important for a sustainable, simple business. If you look at it, if I look at collaboration, right, data collaboration, I know no one wants to say the person is defaulting on the loan because you're trying to scrambling to make sure that who gets maximum money of recovery, right? But if you're able to build frameworks of collaboration on origination, on customer profile behavior, basically building trusted networks. So that becomes the other part of this thing. So it is, I mean, as we become more and more digital, we will get less and less physical. But I think there is still the element of having a connect which is more spiritual, which is the trust. And I was talking to someone last week and they said, in another 5 years, 70% of your loan will be lent digitally. Ambitious, but it is possible. In that scenario, when there is no mechanism to validate, verify, now either leverage technologies, create a trusted data infrastructure as a blockchain or something like that, right? To create that this is the trail across participants, to say that Bureau has this lag. And Bureau, for all its purpose, is still, it's only past performance, it doesn't tell you behavioral aspects, right? So which is where, if I look at it, think about fraud in terms of onboarding, in terms of identity, as the technology evolves. how do you mitigate someone impersonating to that level that you don't know what it is? Okay. And if you just rely on standard documents, so which means complementary data becomes important. Second is in your journeys, when you think about the fact is, I think we are basically doing away with the physical inspection through video KYC. Some people are thinking about video PD. Can I do an inventory inspection using the video call? Then going there. Now someone could be showing, a car dealer could be showing a whole bunch of car in some other showroom. And then how do you verify that that's genuine? I mean, I know people are building out the whole part of, in terms of background also to say that at that point where you're, I will take the lat long. Okay. But I think we have to continue to build digital infrastructure, but then we have to also build digital trust in the ecosystem. I would say that's a broad context of what it is. This obviously subsequently comes into document tampering, whether it is in underwriting, whether it is in claim, all those elements.
Thank you. Maybe a quick short response on how Perfios is building it, right? I think we have been meeting each other for 10 years, more than that, right? I think the way you have scaled and all of that, so anything which you are building here, we also saw a journey on credit card as well in the morning, but anything specifically for maybe just one last 2 minutes you want to quickly share?
So we obviously building solutions. I mean, see, fraud has been at the, we have kind of learned fraud in document. So we basically brought in the whole fraud control part, FCU, on the bank statement, okay, which is the most critical in cash flow analysis. And then we realized that this part of it, so we built and we keep enhancing it. But we are now building solutions on digital identity. How do I establish presence or absence, which helps you to determine your journey, to say that whether it's a green channel, whether it's an amber, whether it's a red, right? The third part is we are obviously looking at the whole element of your journeys as you think about whether it's a video KYC or video PD, right? Are there ways to determine deepfake? One of my colleagues, Chaitanya, was telling me this morning, Ram, I heard there's a lot of rumors saying that we are building something on fate detection and all those things, right? So I said, yeah, we are trying to figure out solving the problem. It's still very early journey. But more importantly, what we are also trying to do is, that's on us as a company as we try to solve for this. We have also built out the entire, I mean, I know everyone thinks us as a bank statement company. We obviously expanded way beyond that. We are doing dent in the health insurance side. We have a fraud, waste, abuse platform for the entire health insurance claim, both in India and other markets. So which is the part. And just the final part is, I think one of the other things that we are consciously working with all our partners in the ecosystem is about building a trusted network.
No, I think that was the time we had, but super. I think with the kind of work you're doing, I think frauds should reduce dramatically. I think the markets are tough. 70% growth or 70% business going digital maybe next 3, 5, 7, 8 years may result in maybe 500 times increase in frauds, right? I think that will disrupt the businesses of the banks, and we have seen any entity out there who's trusting just a simple document, as you said. So super stuff, and thank you, Ram, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, just to inform you, there's some master classes also going on in Studio One, so kindly have a look at that.